So anyway, let's get on with business. We did a couple of sessions on the Quran. I can't actually remember. I can't actually remember what were they. We first of all looked at the if we do have the Quran of Muhammad, and then we looked at the Islamic traditions, and then we saw according to Islamic traditions, we don't have the Quran of Muhammad, we don't have the first Quran, we don't have the second Quran. And then we looked at what happened, what was the reason suddenly Muslim world end up having more than one Quran. And today we are going to look at the Muslim response to that. Finally, it seems that Muslims fed up with saying, oh, there is only one Quran, dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, it's exactly the same. It seems now Muslims are gonna tell us how many Qurans they have so far studied. But before that, let me just summarize so that if anyone is joining us new, we can all so that we can all be in the same page. We looked at the Islamic tradition, and then we noticed most reliable sources of Islam tells us simply, actually, not only we don't have the Quran of Muhammad, but we cannot even trust the Quran of Muhammad. We saw from the Islamic traditions that certain verses of the Quran was eaten by a sheep, by a lovely sheep. Oh God, this is full coffee, so it's heavy. So certain verses of the Quran is eaten by sheep, and we are grateful for that. We are really grateful for that, because otherwise we will be seeing some unkind practices which Muslims women needed to practice at different platforms and different rooms in different forms and shapes. And then we also looked at how Muslims forget a big chunk of the Quran. And then we looked at the, according to the most reliable Islamic tradition, what is the reason that Quran needed to put together? Because oral tradition failed and people were dying in the Battle of Yamama. 70 people died. Soon after 70 people died, Muslim world freaked out. Therefore, what is the solution for that? We put together the Quran. And that was done without permission of Muhammad. And Muhammad didn't even saw the first Quran. So first Quran was put together, and that was passed on Hafsa, one of the wives of Muhammad and daughter of Umar. And from that, we looked at Islamic tradition. Within only 20 years after the death of Muhammad, people in different parts of the Muslim world are calling one another disbelievers. Therefore, it is because the way they recite, again, what we see is oral tradition has failed. Therefore, they decided to make one perfect Quran, and lovely Uthman thought it was all right to simply just burn the Quran. And then we looked at the Muslim scholars, and then we read from Muslim scholars that they identify the current Quran, which has been officialized first in 1924, 10th of July, and then end of 1924 with some adjustments, and then 1936, and then we saw it was all the Qurans. Where did they go? They go under the river. And then even I remember I made a joke, Allah is guarding the Quran under the sea, under the river with his shin to fulfill the promise he gave in Surah 15 verse 9. So when the Qurans are all went to river, according to Muslims, and that Muslims of course did that. From that we talked about Quran, which also been again officialized for worldwide in 1984 or 86, I can't remember, but 1980s. From that, also, if you remember, we looked at the Islamic tradition and then we tried to figure out why would Allah, with all of his wisdom, decide to send the Quran in lots of different ways. We read according to Islamic tradition, we read the fight or argument took place between Umar and Hisham, where Muhammad says okay to the both of the Qurans, two different ways, and then he thinks, yeah, this is the good time, let me tell all humanity that Quran is revealed in seven different ways. And then also we looked at how Ubay bin Ka'b, the one whom people need to take the Quran from, doubted regarding the different versions of the Quran. He expresses that actually he didn't even had these feelings before Islam, and Muhammad, what he did, just struck him on his chest, which made him to sweat. So he simply got beaten by a lovely man of peace. Actually, I've got man of peace here. That's the man of peace. Peace be upon him. So today, I'm just going to have the follow-up session, and I think there will be a couple of more follow-up sessions to look at actually, finally, 2020 Muslim scholars are simply expressing, yup, there are different Qurans, and that's of course not enough. They are even giving us some of the Qurans they have looked at, and they are telling us what are the difference between them. But let me just gently remind you all how we end up in here, because Islamic Dawah team as well as Muslims grew up with the idea that Quran has been perfectly preserved. Muslims grew up with the idea that we have the Quran from Muhammad. If they are missionary, they would say Quran, we have the Quran from the time of Uthman. And then if they are more missionary, because they need more barakahs, then they will be saying actually dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word, Quran is the same which part of the world you ever go. And then what happened from there is I end up having 37 different Arabic Qurans. When I say different Arabic Qurans, I'm saying the name of those Qurans are different. People who pass those Qurans are passed on from one person to other person is different. And you can simply go and buy them in very, very small bookshops in Muslim majority countries. And they're all Arabic. We are not talking about the translations, because we remember, according to Muslims, if not according to Quran, but according to Muslims, Allah fails with basic understanding of other languages. So therefore, he communicates his word with language of Arabic, and people kind of can't even understand what Allah is saying. Okay, so that was kind of just summary of so far what we have done. Today we are just gonna look at a book which was put together by Muslims, and it seems to me they just give up saying there is only one perfect Quran. And then they decided to tell us about, sadly not 37, I think they will get there, but they decided to tell us about 10 of them. And good thing is it's been translated to English. Let's see. Let's see if we can see it. Okay, I'm not sure how this is gonna work now. This is the moment when we always try to figure out how to make things seeable. Are you able to see? Oh, I'm not talking about Tayyar Altıkulaç's work. We will be looking at them as well, but so far we are just looking at what Muslims are saying regarding the different Arabic Qurans, and then from that hopefully we will be able to move to the manuscripts, because manuscripts just confirms, yep, Qurans just gently and gently and gently and gently messed up. Okay, I can see someone called Isaiah 53 in the chat. And if you are the Isaiah 53 who emailed me regarding something, you did not reply my email. Nothing personal, but it's been a while you have not replied my email. Of course, if you are that Isaiah 53, I think it was Isaiah 53 apologetics. Anyway, let's see. I know I don't have any knowledge because of that. Because I don't have any knowledge, because of that, I'm just gonna share the knowledge Muslims have, and therefore we are not able to say to the Muslims that you have no knowledge. And as you can see, let's move this Jesus is Lord to this side, because that's something we all need to remember. Let's see, this is put together by Muslims. Okay. Sorry, are you able to see it? Oh, well, I am hoping that you are able to see it. So this book has been put together by Muslims. It is, I think, 400 some pages. Actually, no, not 400. Yes. It is just over 400 pages. Sadly, it is not very good paper quality, but it's fine. It's just like in one reading, pages are already falling. But anyway, that's fine. So book has been put together by a Muslim in the intention of them to do da'wah. Okay, so this is how you do da'wah. Dear Muslims, I can see some of you are in the chat, and as you are doing the da'wah, you are just telling the whole world, yep, we've got different Qurans, and let's handle them. So what we have is, you've got very small part of this book as an introduction, and then from how many pages introduction? You've got 30 pages of introduction, 34 pages of introduction, and then what you have is you've got the Arabic of the Quran, and then you've got the English translation. So one of the beautiful things they have done is, person as they were translating the Quran, they put together the words as you read them in Arabic. When you translate it to English, they put together the ones which change the meaning in the sentence. Okay, so and then he puts lovely footnotes. Let's get on with it. So if you remember, as we looked at the Islamic tradition, we heard Yasir Qadri said, actually, no one knows what is ahruf. Ahruf was the 7 different ahruf of the Quran. Quran revealed in 7 different ahruf, and Uthman got rid of them and then made it one. Okay, so we are picking up from there. So let's please follow with me. God knows where to start. Okay, we need to find a place to start. Let's first start with the part where he gives us the reason how Quran has been revealed in 7 different ways, and how we end up having 10 different books. So let's start from the beginning. So author is simply explaining us. Look, when I say it's very bad paper quality, this is what I mean. You just gently reading it just makes page to tear. It seems they are not getting enough money from Saudi Arabia. They need some help. Maybe some of Muslim missionaries can simply help them. Okay. I'm not sure if this is gonna work because it's just taking my time and seems it is not working that well. Okay, so I need to get quick confirmation if you are able to see. Can I get quick confirmation that you are able to see what I'm showing you? Yes, over 1 billion Muslims are not aware of the different versions of the Quran. Why? Because they have been lied for 1400 years. Because Muslim missionaries lied, and they still lie. Imams in the mosques, they do lie. Their mothers lie to them, their fathers lie to them, their friends lie to them, and it ends up me like a Christian who steps in and then tries to help them to think. I think instead of getting such a compliment, I would prefer roses and flowers, bees and birds, those kind of things. But that's okay, that's okay. Please tell us why you've been lying to your Muslim brothers and sisters. And so since the topic is Quran, can someone just make sure like we are all talking about the same topic? Especially there are apparently Islam defenders at the chat, and it seems they are just missing up what we are talking about. They didn't bring their ears. So author is telling us that actually there are variations in the Quran, okay, and then it does affect and they change the meaning, and then even in his introduction he gives examples after examples. Actually, I should be getting rid of my picture on the screen. Let me see, get rid of my picture. Yes. Okay. And then he goes on, of course, he needs to justify why they are different Qurans. Okay, he's only looking at 10 different Qurans. And he's naming this Quran, instead of saying Qurans, he names them as the Qurats. Okay? What he means with this, just like make sure everyone is all in the same page. What he means is those books, those Qurans are named differently. Okay, let me show you an example. What he's saying is those Qurans are named differently. Okay, so here's one example of the Quran, and when you look on it, you will see it identifies this as different persons reading, which means actually this has been put together under person X, and when you read it you will notice actually this person X has nothing and nothing and nothing to do with man called Muhammad, whom also identified as the Prophet of Islam and whom received the names, revelation from Muhammad. And then of course when you turn inside of the Quran you will see actually, yep, there are some words in this Quran. It does not match with this Quran. And this is the so-called Hafs Quran, by the way. This is kind of a miracle. This is like 1800s Quran. So when Muslims are telling you those are the Qurans, or they are saying is this is not the Quran which Muhammad received, they are telling you this is not the Quran which was put together by Abu Bakr because it's been burned, or not by Uthman. This is the 10 different Qurans. And what he's gonna do is, when you come to page 33, you will see he's gonna even give you the list of the Qurans that he's looking at. So we've got in here, we've got 10 people, and then these 10 people have two students each. That makes 20, and they have their own Qurans. Okay, for example, if you look at this list, please look at carefully. As you look at this list, what you will see is, in this list we do not have name of something called Prophet Muhammad. Can you see name Prophet Muhammad? No. Can you see name called Uthman? No. Can you see name called Zayd bin Thabit? No. Can you see name called Ubay bin Ka'b? No. Because those Qurans were put together starts from late 700s. Okay, so you've got the one person, and then from this person you've got two different students and they've got their own Quran. And then again you've got Ibn Kathir in Mecca, he's got two students, and from his two students you've got Al-Bazi and Muhammad bin Abdul Rahman and his Quran, okay, identified as the Kumbul's Quran. And then you've got Abu Amir Basra, he's got his two students, and then from these two students each of them have their own Quran. Okay, even just according to this list there is like 30 different Qurans, because teacher's Quran is different from the student's Quran. Yep, I know, that is miracle. That is miracle, but yes, teacher's Quran is different, student's Quran is different than the teacher's Quran, as well as two students who come from the same teacher, their Quran is different from one another. That's why we call it religion of pieces. So that's he kind of gives you the list, but all he does is he's gonna look at those 10 different Qurans and he's gonna tell us, yes, when you translate those 10 different Qurans, even with the English translation, when you translate them to English, as Arabic meaning changes, meaning in English changes as well. And I'm not gonna go through them all, because sadly what he did was, okay, the page I opened, as you can see on the footnotes, he tells you here are some differences. You can simply just find out where it is. For example, follow with me in here to the fourth, okay, and then he comes here to be deported, and then he says that changed the English meaning as well as the Arabic meaning. Let me find another example for you. My focus is not go through the examples, because he's got better informations for us, instead of just translating for us. I think this book is, I just want to actually gently encourage all lovely Muslim missionaries to get hold on to this book. As they get hold on to this book, they will know when I tell them Arabic meaning is different, I am sure they are gonna say yes, Arabic meaning is different. And then when I tell them, oh, English meaning is different as well, they are gonna tell me yes, English meaning is different as well. I am sorry, we have lied to the Muslims and we have lied to you, Hati. I am sure that's what they are gonna tell me. Therefore, please buy the book and support your Muslim brother. Anyway, in here, anyway, so on the footnotes you've got examples, but one of the issue with the book is you have all he tells us he already put together 30% of those 30% of differences out of 10 Qurans. And he doesn't kind of deal with the vowels, but he mainly focuses on the consonantal differences. Because if you remember, in the time of Muhammad, Arabic didn't have any dots. In the time of Uthman, Abu Bakr, Arabic didn't have dots. As time went on, Arabic alphabet contains dots for the consonantal letters. As it went on, they did add the dots. So this author is simply looking at those ones. But anyway, let's get on with the business. So you can go through and then look at over 1,000 variations minimum in here, because I don't have time to count all of them. Sadly, he doesn't give you as a list. He expects you to put it together. So over 1,000 variations, textual variations from 10 Qurans. I am saying over 1,000 because even some Muslim gives us the examples that one textual variation can be, one word different can be same in 3 different Qurans. That means there are actually if that one textual variation can be should be counted as 3, because if that is like in 3 different Qurans, and he's all comparing them with the Hafs Quran. What I have done was couple of years ago, we compared 37 in that time we had 26. We compared 26 different Arabic Qurans with the Hafs Quran, and up to today we've got over 90,000, 90, unless in case my pronunciation is awful. We had 90,000 textual variations in different Qurans, and I stopped working on it. I've got like life to do. So let's get on with the sorry, my picture shouldn't be there. Let's get on with the basic business. Okay. So, of course, since it is put together by Muslims, they need to give us good explanation why there are the difference, and if those difference makes any change to any meaning. Okay, what he says is this is all those differences in one word simply enriched the meaning of the Quran. And then he says, of course, we've got to remember Quran was descended upon Muhammad's heart. Allah given to the Quran, and it is descended in Muhammad's heart, upon Muhammad's heart. And probably that heart, which didn't go that long, died, and then took the Quran with him. It can be said that Quran was revealed to the heart of the Prophet peace be upon him, as a single entity. Eternal word of Allah becomes entity, including its meaning, its dialects, and all matter relates to that one. Okay? Now, listen very carefully, because now it's gonna change the meaning of everything. Now it's gonna change the meaning of everything. How Muhammad was getting his revelation, we looked at last week with the daughter of Christ, that Muhammad was getting his revelation when he was in the dress of Aisha of 90s. Of course, that wasn't like Abbas confirmed for us. It wasn't like a night dress with lots of roses in it or flowers on it, such a things. It was just a not very nice color, I guess. So sometimes he was getting his revelations in the dress of Aisha, but sometimes it revealed as a ringing of the bell. This form of the inspiration is the hardest of all. And then in this state, past of after, I have grasped what was inspired. Suddenly someone just like, shh. Can you hear the bells? Can you hear the bells? Remember, angels, heavenly beings are not very happy with the bells, but that's how the revelation end up in the world of Muhammad. From this, of course, Muhammad was the perfect, Allah wanted to communicate with his word, with Muhammad, by articulating very well. Therefore, Allah wanted to make things very easily. Remember, Allah and Muhammad had some kind of, not Allah actually, Muhammad and Gabriel had some chit chat, and then from this chit chat, angel wanted to make things easy. Therefore, Allah makes the Quran in 7 different ways. 7 different ways for one tribe to memorize the Quran in 7 different ways. Allah thinks, yep, because what Muhammad says is what Muhammad says. This is like so lovely. How Muhammad just discredits the mind of Muslim man. Oh, Gabriel, I have been sent to a illiterate nation, among whom are the elderly woman, old man, and the boy and the girl, and the man who cannot read a book at all. I think Muhammad is just simply talking about himself. Oh Allah, you took me, you give me the revelation, but remember, I am old. I am an old man who is gonna have a sex with a child, who is not even gonna able to make like babies. But also I cannot read it. Therefore, we need to make it easy. Please, 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 Allah, pretty please, give me Quran in different ways. And then Gabriel says to Muhammad, oh Muhammad, indeed, Quran was revealed to you in 7 different ahruf. I'm not gonna focus on the word dialect because that is just wrong. I go with Yasir Qadri, ahruf. No one knows what his ahruf is, okay? So apparently Quran is just being revealed to us in 7 different ahruf. But what is the reason? Because people cannot read. That's the reason. And this is like Muhammad. Muhammad is simply saying, I am old, I cannot read it. Give me 7 different ways. Because if you give me one version, I know it is much easier to everyone to memorize. But I might lie about it. Give me the revelation so I can hide behind the revelation when I can't remember what I told people. I can say, yep, it is revealed in 7 different ahruf. That's simply what's happening, okay? If you remember the story of Umar and Hashim, no one knew Quran has been revealing in 7 different ahruf. No one knew. Suddenly, everyone finds about finds about it. Anyway, so that's that part of the things. Muhammad kind of begs Allah and then gets the Quran in 7 different ways, because Arabs are just, they can't read. Poor Allah. So Allah didn't want to make this burden to the people who cannot read. Therefore, 7 different ways. Like, seriously, I seriously don't understand. If you give people one thing in one version, everyone learns to have to do that. Everyone able to recite you back. But what Allah does is in here, oh, people are already stupid. They can't know what's happening. They wouldn't know what's happening. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna make it like more difficult for everyone. Everyone recites something different. And then of course it goes on. Jibril read the Quran to me in 1 harf, and I continue to ask him to read in different ahruf until he read it in 7 different ahruf. And then of course you kind of read the similar stories, just tells us how awful was it. And then good thing is, Muslims, now they know Quran is not dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, not the same. They tell us the story of Umar and Hisham, how they were about to fight in the mosque. That's this part of the surah. And then first time people are just hearing that Quran has been revealed in different ways. And then he gives us some examples how those different ways are put together. Let's get to this part. So here's one example before he kind of gets on to all the business things. He gives us one example, actually lots of examples, but I'm going to give you one example in here. How word by word, letter by letter, sound by sound, dot by dot, Quran is exactly the same in Arabic as well as in English translation. So what Muslim does is in here, he gives us the English translation for the Surah 49 verse 6, and the word is investigate the matter. And then he comes to the other Quran, same verse, and translate that verse to us as ascertain the truth. It is different for Arabic as well as it is different in English. Meaning are different in Arabic. Meaning is different in English. According to who? According to Muslims. Not to me, according to Muslims. And what this lovely Muslim is gonna do, he's gonna give us 10 different ones. He's gonna give us 10 different examples of the Quran. And anyway, so those are, actually I could look at some of them, but anyway, we will do another session of those. All I want us to see how Muslims are confirming, actually, yeah, Quran is not dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, is exactly the same, and they are being extra kind and generous, and then they are giving example to us from 10 different Arabic Qurans. It does change it in English as well as it does change the meaning in Arabic, because it changed the meaning in English. Therefore, he gives us it does change the meaning in Arabic. Therefore, he gives us the English version of this. So, all different Qurans are divine because, as author is mentioned before, Muhammad received it from angels. Of course, just like, I don't want to be mean, but please remember, please remember there is no second person who hears the second version from angel. Please beware of that, okay? So here's the confirmation comes. Listen this part very carefully. Quran was taught by scholars through the chain of narrations and also recited to him, all those kind of things. And then he gives us some names. Okay, he says those are the people who memorize the Quran. Those are our good scholars. Ibn Masud, where Ibn Masud says, actually, I was a good person. I was devoted Muslim. I memorized the Quran from Muhammad. Anyone remembers what happened to Ibn Masud? What happened to the Ibn Masud is miracle. His hip is broken because he was simply disagreeing with the Quran. Was the Quran which Muslims were trying to officialize. And then it goes on, and then we get to hear in here something very, very kind of funny. After Ibn Masud, we have Jubair ibn Murad, also kind of say, Mutim also says, yep, I got the certain chapters of the Quran. And then also Muslim tells us Ubay bin Ka'b narrated the Quran to Muhammad and then told him, surely Allah the exalted and glorious has commanded me to recite the Quran to you. Whereupon he said, Allah mentioned my name to you. He said, Allah has mentioned your name to me. Thereupon he began to shed tears. So I just need to get rid of those books over there. They're not being very helpful at all. So, Ubay bin Ka'b is going to recite the Quran to Muhammad, okay? Muhammad says to Ubay bin Ka'b, Oh, lovely, lovely Muhammad, did Allah mention my name? Allah mentioned my name to you, and then he says, Allah has mentioned your name to me. Thereupon he began into tears. Cried, poor man. Poor Muhammad. He just had some image issues that, if you don't have my name, you are not going to be able to recite the Quran to me. And then we again get to hear how Ubay bin Ka'b was one of the people whom he needed to recite the Quran. And then something very, very interesting. Foundation of Islam based on not the Tawhid, but foundation of Islam is based on how to perform your prayer and tashahhud and the so-called Quran. Foundation of Islam is based on like their salat 5 times a day, thanks to Moses, and then they pray to Muhammad in their prayers, that part, and also based on the Quran. So let's move on to the Ubay bin Ka'b again. Remember Ubay bin Ka'b, whom now he's reciting, who is just telling Muhammad, yep, I know your name, Allah, I've got good relationships with Allah, they all got like good Qurans, all those kind of things. And this is the guy who Muhammad struck him in his chest. Do you remember that? We looked at that last week. Muhammad struck him in his chest, which made him to sweat, because it was not like hug struck, but it was painful struck, which caused him to sweat. So there are some names it has been given to here, which kind of talks about, yep, those are the people who memorize the Quran. And then after that it comes and then tells us the different tells us the story of the Quran, how it has been put together by Abu Bakr, because there were serious concerns regarding the 70 people who died in the Battle of Yamama. There were serious concerns. People is gonna be dying in the battle, and some of them died. Therefore, we are forgetting the Quran. Let's put the Quran together. Oral tradition has been failed. Written tradition has been failed, and Zayd bin Thabit takes the responsibility. Actually, he was gently forced to take the responsibility to put the Quran together. And the miracle thing is, there were only 48 scribers. It's in this part. There were only 48 scribers who had the Quran. Only 48 people. Not thousands, not hundreds. There were only 48 people. And 70 people died in the battle. Islamic world freaked out. So so that's the first Quran, and then suddenly it's in the time of Uthman, okay? Uthman is spreading the religion of Islam with the roses and flowers and the chocolates. As he is spreading the religion of Islam with roses, look at it says here, okay? Read it with me. Roses, chocolates, and flowers, because Islam is the religion of pieces. Islam is the religion of pieces. It's been spread. It says Caliph Uthman was very busy with buying chocolates, dark chocolates. Caliph Uthman was very busy with buying roses. Caliph Uthman was very busy by having hot chocolates with people, because he was spreading the religion of pieces. Deeply involved in Islamic conquest, reached to the Far East. And as he reached to the Far East, there were people who were fighting. Okay? People from different Muslims are fighting, and read with me. Soldiers, Muslims are calling one another kafir. Muslims are calling one another kafir. Why? Because the way they are spreading, because the way they are reciting the Quran. All Muslim in this book is telling me, never, ever, and never ever trust oral tradition. All Muslim is telling me in this book is, when someone tells you Quran is dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word, exactly the same. There is only one perfect Quran, and it has been perfectly preserved in the hearts of Muslims. This book is telling me, which has been put together by a Muslim in the intention of dawah. This book is telling me, tell them they are liar, they are misrepresenting, because Islamic tradition is disagreeing with them. Islamic tradition is disagreeing with the perfect oral tradition. Islamic tradition is disagreeing with the reliability of the perfect Quran. Only 48 people were the scribers. Only 48 of them. And then amazing confessions. When I say, people kind of tell me I am lying. His Muslim tells this to us. Recorded, Uthman burned the Quran. It's been recorded. Muslims are telling me, yup, it's been recorded that Quran has been burned in the time of Uthman. Quran has been burned in the time of Uthman. That's nothing personal. That's nothing personal. Quran has been burned. And then he goes on and tells you, now Quran is going to be put together again. How is that going to happen? We are going to end up in different Qurans. So he's compiling the one Quran, burning the rest of it, and then he's copying those Qurans and then sending it to the 9 different cities. And from those 9 different cities, what we have is, in 700s, which is much later, then Muhammad is already dead, Sahaba is already dead, even Uthman is already dead. Now Muslims are gonna learn the Quran from different scholars, okay? And then first one is gonna be who? Nafi, and his student is gonna be Warsh. That's one of the first Quran. That's one of the first Quran. And that is, of course, takes place in Medina. That takes place in Medina. And then what he does is, yes, he's the list of the minimum 10 different Qurans. You can see the list in here. He gives you the 10 Qurans, name of the 10 Qurans. And then all those 10 people have their 2 students. And those students have their own Qurans. Okay. And then from that, when you check the students' Qurans, for example, Warsh and Kalun's Quran, they are different from one another. And Warsh and Kalun takes the Quran from Nafi. And then it's saying that even in these pages, there are 30 different Quran names. Okay? Because all those people are simply giving you the name, giving you one Quran. And none of those Quran has been seen by man called Muhammad or being called Jibreel. Okay? And then let me just be nice and then show you some examples so that you don't think I'm lying, or you don't think this Muslim man is lying. And of course you don't need to do that much big work in this one. All you've got to do is you just go to the, let me show you how it works. Oh, I need to get rid of that logo. That logo shouldn't be there. Not sure, but anyway. So you go to the footnote, okay? In the footnote, so on one side you've got Arabic, and then on the other side you've got the English translation of the Quran, okay? On the footnote he says, A, in the Yaqub Quran, okay? Translation is to him you return. Okay? Let me go to the graph. Let's find the Yaqub Quran. Can you point out where is the Yaqub Quran? Can anyone, oops, sorry about that. Can anyone point out for me where is Yaqub Quran? Number 7 is the Yaqub Quran. Okay? By the way, anyone can notice where is Hafs Quran? Let me get my pen. So this is Yaqub Quran, okay? Number 7. And then Hafs Quran is here. Remember, Hafs is the liar. Hafs is the one who takes people's book and who never return people's book. So this is the Quran Muslims are reading. That is the student of Abu Amir of Basra. This is Hafs Quran. And this is the Yaqub Quran. Hafs is belong a student of teacher. Yaqub is the number 7, okay? So, what the author of this book is telling me, Quran number 7, which is Yaqub, it says, to him you return. Sorry, I can't underline because I got different work to do on this. Yaqub Quran tells us in this verse, Yaqub Quran tells me it is, to him you return. Let's first find the letter A. Oh my God, I need my other glasses. Okay, it's here. Are you able to see this? It's here. Okay. So this is Surah 2, verse 28 in Hafs Quran. Okay. In Hafs Quran, it tells you, how can you deny Allah when you were lifeless and He gave you life? Then He puts you to death. Then He brings you to life. Then to him you are returned. And then verse finishes. And what author does is, he, like, Arabic is different already because he's just simply pointing out. What author does is, author says, instead of you are returned, okay, those of you who know a little bit English, as you can see, one of them is passive sentence, other one is active sentence, versus to him you return. According to Muslim, author of this book, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then he gives you the English translation to make a case they are different. It does change the meaning of it. And sadly, all he did was he compared the Quran number 7 verse with the Hafs Quran. And he did only that he put together in the book only 30% of the Quran, 30% of the variations. Altogether, there are over 1,000. Okay, so another thing, yeah, that's what all you do is you simply go to the footnotes, and then footnotes is gonna tell you in this one, as you can see, he tells you this verse is different. Let me find the C. C is here. C is here. It says frequently enjoined. Okay, this is Surah 2 again, verse 132. Okay, you come to the footnote. It says it is not only in the one Quran, but it is in Nafi's, Ibn Amir's Quran and Abu Jafar's Quran. It is different. And how it says, instead of like frequently enjoined, it says Abraham enjoined. And Muslim identified this as they are different, not because his English is different, but Arabic is different. Therefore, he tells you those Arabic differences change the meaning in English. And anyway, so you can do that for minimum over 1,000 of them. Minimum over 1,000 of them. And where all this comes from? From me? No. I am not the one who put the book together. Oh, it's supposed to be on the screen. Sorry. I am not the one who put book together. Book was put together by a Muslim to just tell the humanity there are the examples from the 10 different Arabic Qurans. And those examples are specially picked up in the intentions of you Muslims can see, it does change the meaning. You Muslim can see those Qurans has nothing and nothing and nothing to do with Muhammad, nothing and nothing and nothing to do with Umar, has nothing and nothing and nothing to do with Uthman and Abu Bakr. They all end up in our world when? From 700s. And then when we look at the Islamic tradition, we see in 900s, they are talking about active 50 different Arabic Qurans were already circulating around. I think this book simply just gives us the Muslims are just giving rebuttal to other Muslims. Isn't that awesome? I think that's perfectly awesome. So now, when we hear that there is only one Quran, dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word, it's exactly the same. All you've got to do is tell them, actually, here's the Muslims gave you 10 examples. Let me make sure book is on the screen so you get the name in case. You can simply tell them, here's the Muslim, gives you only 10 Quran and with examples over thousands of them. I didn't have time to count them all. I just counted little bit, and then when I came to 1,000, I just like, yeah, I need one is more than enough for me. One extra Quran, one variation is more than enough for me. But Muslims put together 10 Qurans with over 1,000 variations. Just a side note, I have 37 different Arabic Qurans with over 90,000 variations on them. That is, we identified as the lovely and lovely and lovely and lovely miracle of Islam. Lovely miracle of Islam. Can't do much about it. All we can say is thank you. We will pass the message to the necessary Muslims when they claim there is only one perfect Quran. And we tell them, actually, yes, you find 10 difference and you looked at them. One of the thing sad part of all this story is actually sad part of all those story is they need to put together other Qurans, but I think 10 Quran is more than enough. 10 Quran is more than enough for Muslims. Yes, currently we are having 37 different Arabic Qurans with 90,000 variations. And thanks to JC for putting the dates and the names. I've got another. Actually, let me put the graph. Actually, let me see if I can put the dates. I'll put the dates so that you can all visualize that. Sorry, just give me a second. I'll show everyone the dates. This is too small for you to see, but it does have the dates on it. Here's the graph for you with the dates on it, and all you need to know essentials is with all those dates. Okay, essentials is none of those born again Qurans has dated in the time of Muhammad. None of them dated at the time of Abu Bakr. None of them dated at the time of Umar. None of them are dated in the time of Uthman. And miracle thing is, we looked at last time in our last session, those were put together by a stranger who said, yeah, from now on we are going to use those Qurans. And then what happened is, in 1924 they decided, yup, let's pick the Hafs Quran. And we follow the Hafs Quran. That is all miracle of Islam. Remember the dates for Hafs Quran? 1924, 10th July. Edited version is end of 1924 again. 1936, and then we've got all the Qurans are being put under the in Riva, and then that's how we end up with the Hafs Quran. Lovely Hafs Quran. Of course, as I say Hafs Quran, I'm talking about this Hafs Quran man called Hafs, who is identified as liar. He was so much lying, they didn't trust him to put any of his sayings into the hadith. He's got like no narrations in the hadith because he was a liar. So they didn't trust him when it came to the biography of Muhammad, customs of Muhammad, but they trusted him when it came to the eternal word of Allah. I think that's just like itself, it's all miracle. And this man was taking people's book and will never returning them. What do you call that? If you've got my book and you haven't returned it, you probably already got a couple of phone calls from me, and then I would tell you, I already told you that goes under the thief. You took my thing with the permission and you did not bring it back. That's what Hafs did. And that's like what Muslim scholars are telling me. Jonathan Brown says that. And then of course you've got another Muslims are telling us, actually this lovely Hafs, this lovely Hafs was also identified as liar. So they trusted him when it come to the word of Allah, but they did not trust him when it come to the biography of Allah. A thief and a liar. That's the one Muslims put their eternity on, and that's the one where Muslims think, yeah, let's compare all different Arabic Qurans with this guy. What I'm gonna do is in next or after next one, show more examples on how Muslims confirming that the changings in the Quran simply affect the meaning in Arabic as well as in English. Remember, he put together only 30% of what they have for the 10 Qurans. So there are more Qurans to go. Okay, let me go to chat and see. What's happening in chat. If I've got any questions, or if anyone is telling this Muslim author, calling him names like liars or something else. Okay, so Erkin, thank you, but no need. Let's see. Do I have any questions, comments, or anything needs to be unpacked? Yep. Muslims don't believe. Muslims didn't trust him when he was simply telling us the customs of Muhammad when it comes to Hafs, but they thought they can trust him when it comes to eternal word of Allah. I call it as a miracle. I call it as a miracle. And I think Muslims call it as a miracle. Like, as one of the essential thing is, while this guy is telling us there are 10 different Arabic Qurans, here's some examples, 30% of the examples. One of the amazing thing is they are forgetting only the right recitation is gonna intercede for them on the day of judgment. You've got 10 options. How do you know option of Hafs is the correct one? How do you know Hafs is correct one? Better it is Hafs, because on the day of judgment, if that is true, you are gonna be in need of that. But if it is not true, oh well, you messed up. You just messed up. 9,000 plus variations. I'm not following this question. Did I say 9,000 for something? Maybe I did. I don't remember why I said 9,000 for something, but there are like probably I meant 90,000. Over 90,000 variations in 37 different Arabic Qurans. I haven't looked at them all, but the ones I so far looked at, there are 37 different Arabic Qurans with over 90,000 variations. When we look at the Quranic manuscripts, actually, even the Sahih Bukhari has been officialized. Sahih Bukhari has been officialized in 1800s. 1800s, Sahih Bukhari is officialized. We don't have Sahih Bukhari manuscripts from time of Sahih Bukhari. I think I need kind of follow-up question for that to make sure. Okay, this is just getting my attention, but just beware, if you write DCCI, it doesn't get my attention. It will get my attention if you write DCCI Ministries, because with that, it comes with the color. This is from Brother K. Is there a Muslim Quran author who was not accused of lying by another Muslim? I don't know. But for sure, I know Hafs was like identified as liar. For sure, we kind of get to hear the fights are going between people regarding their Quran is like much better than others. I looked at only couple of them, but for me, even Muslims follow Hafs Quran or any Quran. For me, when you look at the first generation, Ubay bin Ka'b, Ibn Masud, they all disagreed with one another, plus Zayd bin Thabit. They all disagreed with one another which Quran is the right one. Their surahs were different. And then, of course, mother of believers Aisha disagreed as well Of course, son of Umar disagreed. It's all kind of gently messed up. So even though, like, they would say, yeah, it all comes from Muhammad and then first trusted Muslims, but that's not true. There is a problem of memorization. There is a problem with oral tradition, as well as even in the time of Muhammad, people are disagreeing with the Quran. Like in here, I've got this is identified as like examples from the 10 different Arabic Qurans. But even when you look at the Surah 25, that is the surah which Umar and Hisham is fighting with one another. You don't have the 7 different versions of Surah 25. Of course, the basic question is, why at the first place, when you look at the kind of later surahs, different versions of the Quran has been revealed in Medina verses. Why do you have different versions with the Meccan surahs? Those are all problematic. And also, why would you kind of give old woman, old man, young boy, young girl, and man who can't read and write? Those people group 7 different ways, so they all mess up. I don't think that makes it any easy or any way easy at all. People all will mess up. Regarding which Quran will appear as a pale man, that's like very racist comment. But especially while what's happening in this broken world, reminding all the world that half Islam is racist religion. Not very helpful, brother. I'm not that much concerned on which Quran is gonna appear as a pale man. Muslims tells you there are 10 different versions of the Quran, but I am more concerned on the surahs, because surahs are also going to intercede. Surah 2, Surah 3, Surah 67 is going to intercede as well. Which Quran is going to intercede? Which Surah 2? Like I showed you the Surah 2 verse, I think it was 28. Which Quran, in which Quran this verse is going to intercede? In which Quran? Before you come to the pale man. But I guess the answer is Allah knows best. Allah knows best. This is like amazing. Allah, He knows best. He messed up with yes, Takiyavach, we are gonna break it down. This is the summary of it. This is overview of it. We will be breaking it up and taking it from there so that people can kind of learn it, memorize the names, know the names, and then gently ask Muslims what happened to this dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word, perfect oral preservation of the Quran. I am assuming Erkin is Muslim. He is simply kind of expressing that people made errors as they write the Quran down. Do we have the manuscripts of Hafs? No. Manuscripts of Hafs in the Surah 1 to Surah 114 version. No. We actually, like, if you think practically, we don't even know what Hafs write it down. This is just like passed from one person to other person, one person to other person. Teşekkürler Erkin. One person to other person. It just went on and went on. We will have a session on the manuscripts as well. We can put them. We will be looking at them, but first we just need to kind of deal with those basic claims Muslim puts together. I am looking at the questions. When Uthman was putting the Quran together, didn't Aisha correct and change some of the verses? I think that took place before Uthman. We do have a story where Aisha says, oh, when you come to this verse, add this, and then she changed the orders. I think that takes place before Uthman, because when Zayd bin Thabit collects the second Quran under the Uthman, that Quran becomes like latest version of it. That Quran becomes latest version of it. Therefore, Aisha had a kind of, Aisha was commenting on the earliest Quran. That's what I'm assuming, because it doesn't give us the chronological order. But also we know Aisha made a comment that she cannot find the verses, adult breast suckling verses in the Quran. Therefore, that would be taking place even in the time of Uthman. Actually, I do have the list of the verses which Aisha kind of was hunting or correcting. Sorry, I stand corrected that Erkin is not a Muslim. Sorry about that. I just saw your comment. I just thought that kind of very general Muslim objections. Any other questions or comments? I love to hear what happened to Muslims who were what happened to the Muslims who were talking about the Bible before we start reading what Muslims were saying? They are lost. They are lost. It is the lost because why? Too late now. Muslims put the book together. Muslims are telling to humanity, actually, yes, there are the different Qurans. Here is the examples from the 10 where the Arabic is different. And as the Arabic is different, dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, dot by dot, that changes the meaning in English. One of the sad things is he gives you name of the 30 Qurans, but tells you only gives you only 30% of 10 Qurans. That's just a disappointing, but you can't do much about it. I think this is already a big step for them. For 1400 years they've been telling us dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound. It's perfectly preserved, but Muslims just, in the book we were expressed, oral tradition is failed, written tradition is failed, and they try to fix it by putting together different Arabic Qurans. I think that will be it for now, for tonight. What we will be doing is we will be looking this little bit deeper with a couple of more sessions so that we kind of all get used to it. And I don't know, Takiawaj is putting the Takiawaj, I can see you put a link to the book. Where did you get that link? I had to pay for the book. Anyway, there is link on the screen, and it will be probably I will try to find the link and copy this link to the description for people to see it. Not sure how Takiawaj got access to this as a link, because I needed to get it as a book. But anyway, it's good. It's good. I think with that all in mind, let me just remind you. Yes, we are talking about how Quran has been gently butchered, corrupted, and destroyed, and lots of different Arabic Qurans kind of came out. But also we do acknowledge the need of Muslims regarding the correct revelation, and also we do acknowledge like I was I think it was Saturday, I was on the phone with someone. He was simply just like trying to kind of he was nasty in a sense. He was disappointed that actually for centuries he's been told a lie. So tonight Muslims are telling other Muslims, don't fall into the lies regarding the perfect preservation of the Quran, because it has not been perfectly preserved. There are different Qurans, but there is one who, even in this broken world, when we look around, when we see people are being killed because of their color code, people are being killed and burned alive because of their belief, people are being butchered because of their belief. In this broken world, what we see is need of perfect word of God. We see need of our risen Lord, and it is my duty as a Christian to step in and then tell you, yep, the word of Allah you have is a problem, and perfect word of God, Lord Jesus Christ, perfect, amazing, delightful, and he welcomes you. And amazing thing is, today, if you are persecuted, word of God, God-man Lord Jesus Christ is interceding for you. He's praying for you. Today, if you are in a doubt regarding what Muslims are telling you about your holy book, still, Lord Jesus Christ is praying for you. If even if you are afraid of praying, Lord Jesus Christ is on the throne and he's praying for us, those who believe in him. And we will see you probably tomorrow and very soon. Thanks God, we will be not doing more live streams because we will be back to live at Speaker's Corner. God bless you all, and we will see you soon.